Oh man, we are here. Ciao, tifosi bianconeri. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to many of you. Welcome to the Turin Giants channel. I'm Kevin, your host for this kickoff episode. I am so thrilled to be here with Turin Giants to initiate the 2026-2027 season for Juventus. We are live on YouTube right now. And of course, this will be available to watch afterwards. You can also catch us on audio format on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on alerts. And if you could also like this video, that would be such a huge help. And for those of you catching this afterwards in podcast form, a 5-star rating goes a long way for us. Now, there are so many more folks from the Turin Giants crew here today than just me, and I can't wait to introduce you to them. So I have to get started with the dynamic duo, our bald bastard friends. Welcome, Zach and Frederic. Gentlemen, how are you both?
Yes! The new season's about to begin. Let's go.
A lot of new therapy sessions incoming, and I'm all here for it.
No. They haven't stared yet. This is there's at least one optimistic show this season.
I'm looking forward to them is all I'm saying.
And then I am thrilled to welcome Jack. Jack, it's been a minute. How are you, my friend?
How are you guys doing? So happy to be here. This is fantastic. It's like the roller coaster is getting to the top right before the drop. I'm excited for the drop. So let's get this going.
Let's do it. And we have a recent addition who's been on a couple episodes recently. So for those of you who are listening to our editions of The Scoop over the summer, we were fortunate enough to bring Luigi onto a few, and we have him with us today with a burning bus in the background. Luigi, come stai?
Tutto a posto. Grazie, Kevin. Grazie. I'm so happy to be part of it. I'm so happy to be here. New season, and I'm so excited. Very good, guys. I'm so happy. Thank you very much.
We are so happy to have you. And last and certainly not least, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the godfather, the creator of the show, Farhad. How are you?
Boys, I'm so happy. I'm speechless. I'm so ready. What's up, boys?
And he brought a friend, of course, didn't you, Farhad?
This is the longest co-host I've ever had, Alessandro Belpiero.
He should retire. He's past his prime, Farhad.
Well, looking at the five of you, I am so excited. We have so many people here joining us in chat on YouTube Live. We have Randy H, Aziru, Ozymandias, Takishi, Enrico, Juve since 94, Igor Toravrozovic, Andrea Perezzoso, so many folks here, Mohammed. This is going to be an engaging show, right? There's a lot of we're going to get through, and I'll take you through our roadmap in just a minute. But look, this is the part of the season where we can still dream, right? Some of you in the chat were leaving some messages before we even kicked off that you don't even think we can get into the Champions League. Here comes another season of peril. No, every club is level on points right now. We are Juventus. We are one of the most successful clubs in Europe. We are the largest team in Italy. We have the right and obligation to be optimistic coming into every season, regardless of what we have faced, right? At one point, one season will begin a turnaround. Why not this one? So look, I'm going to come into this being optimistic until we have our inevitable therapy sessions that we will come across. But right now I am full of energy, and we're so excited to get into this new season with you as Turin Giants. There's a lot that you will continue to experience with us as this season progresses. We will continue to have live post-game shows after hopefully every match. Zach and Frederic will continue with the scoop, and I'm sure there will be a lot of energy and attention into that over the next week and a half. You can continue to follow our content on social at Turin Giants on Instagram, as well as the Scoop Juve and myself at Kevin Turin Giants. There's two new things, though, that I want to highlight. Farhad, there is a new show that you are looking to start to tinker and experiment with. Why don't you take a minute just to take us through what you're thinking?
Gladly. So we tried this last time. You know, we had a large crew that took care of the immediate Juventus business, and of course, you know, I joined on a few shows as well. It's the post games and the scoop that you mentioned, the transfer show, the debate show. It's black and white. But something was missing. Something that I could really do is, you know, talk to the audience and get a little perspective from outside of the field, if I can say that. Something, a more relaxed format of a show. So we tried it. We made a couple of changes. So this year we're coming back. This season we're coming back. It's going to be me and any of these guys that you see on the screen. The first couple of shows we've got scheduled are with Kevin and Luigi. We're going to have fun in front of a live audience. We'll have anything from nostalgia to giveaways to quizzes to current news. It's going to be fun. But of course, every part of the crew is welcome, and you're going to see everyone at least once or twice throughout the season.
We're going to have a blast. I look forward to
Absolutely.
it. And Frederic, you've been working on something. For those who have listened to some of the most recent Scoop episodes, know that you've turned into a software engineer over the last week and a half. So why don't you take us through how you're going to bring our community a little bit closer together?
Well, you kind of summarize it, Kev. We're going to launch a Discord for the Turin Giants community, the Juventus community, or the people that like us and hopefully Juventus. Zach and I have been always saying that, you know, after episodes, we kind of feel bummed out that we need to stop the conversation with people, the interaction. And we thought, you know, what's the best way to carry on even after an episode, be it live or a recorded one? And that's just a direct Discord engagement with the people. And I'm going nuts trying to code it. It's my first time coding. The structure is there, the bare bones are there, but we expect to launch it soon after a soft test. And I hope I see everybody in there, because I'd feel amazing to have conversations and, you know, just jostle around with people in Discord and answer their questions or get into a debate or whatever. So I'm looking forward to that once I hopefully get this thing done and dusted, because it's doing my head in. But apart from that, I'm looking forward to it.
You know how there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer has 3 hairs, and then when he finds out he's going to have a third child, the third hair pops off and he's left with 2? That's literally Frederic. If he had any hair left, he's tore him out because of what he's been through.
Yep. I'm beginning to feel like I'm developing some sort of allergy to my keyboard and whatever, because I've been glued on it for a whole lot of hours. But it's gonna be worth it, and I hope you guys join in numbers. Absolutely. Because the more the merrier. And let's get the show on the road.
Absolutely. And before we dive right into our agenda for today, we want to give a little bit back to those of you who have been on this journey with us. It's been teased a little bit. As many of you know, we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel last season. We promised some kind of celebration, which we never ended up having. So we're going to bring some of that here. And Zach, why don't you tell us what we're going to do today?
Yeah, well, in that celebration, we promised it before, is we wanted to give back to all of you. And so we are going to be doing a couple of giveaways today. Based on our ability to ship, it will be limited to the Americas and Europe. I know we have fans across the globe, and we will figure out our logistics. But what we've got is Farhad's holding it up, a Turin Giants hoodie, and I've got one of those, and I wear it all the time.
That's the one I'm wearing right now too.
When it's cooler, fantastic for our Americas folks. And Frederic has digged into his collection and has offered for the European folks That's game
That is
that's
nice.
game worn Marquisio, isn't
Look
it,
at that.
Frederic?
I think it's training worn.
Training
So
worn.
not,
Yes,
yes,
not game
I
worn. It's
think it
not
was
about
on a
jersey. Yeah.
training, but it's yeah, somewhere along those lines. Yeah.
Training worn Marquisio sweater. I actually asked Frederic
I mean,
for that when I was in Belgium, and he said no, it's for the people. So I tried to take it from you guys. He said no, and so stay tuned. We have a couple giveaway sections over the course of this episode to have your chance to win either the Turin Giants hoodie if you're in the Americas, or if you're in Europe, the Marquisio sweater.
Yeah, and we'll probably do one on the Discord as well to celebrate once that thing launches, just to intertwine. I'm sorry.
No, all good. Enough of the updates. Let's get into the program. So we are going to start with a reflection on the transfer market so far this summer. We know it is not finished, but we are obligated to give a summary on where we are. We'll take a little bit of time touching on our experience in the friendlies that we've had in the preseason games. Luigi went to a couple of them, so he'll offer his perspective. We're going to talk a little bit of tactics based on the squad that we have. What are we expecting from this team? What are the couple lineup variations we expect to see? How is this team going to play? And then we will get into our predictions for the new season across a number of different dimensions and questions. So with that, rolling it back to starting with the transfer session or the transfer season, who better to get us started than Frederic, the source of all of the information that comes to you on the scoop. So Frederic, right? We obviously don't have all the time in the world, as you do on the scoop, for it. But let's start with the arrivals, right? So if you could kind of walk us through who we've brought in, what you're excited about, your concerns, just give us a summary.
Well, it's not all that I hope for, but we still have a week and a half to go. We'll start with our goalkeeper eventually, or as Beppe calls it, Plan Z, which is Vicario. I'm really excited because I think financially doesn't weigh on our books, and he still has a lot of ability. Let's just hope he finds some confidence back. Then as a center back, we signed John Lucumi from Bologna, which I'm very, very excited over. I saw him play already here in Belgium for a couple of years, and I think he's really the prototype of a modern defender. We have our long lost love, Randall Colomwani, which we signed for a small fee. Very curious if he'll put that money to work.
Pocket change that Carnevale found on the couch in Continassa, right?
Yeah. Somebody dropped a small porcelain piggy bank, and the money came out of it. We brought it to PSG and got Colomwani. Then the surprise, Ale Begovic, the youngster with a lot of potential. Ekator, who was our first signing of the season, even though I'm not sure if he'll stay for this season. And Celik, who has done very well. And I have to say my most anticipated transfer thus far has to be Lukumi. That's about it.
Any mistakes in this list?
In the sense of what Juventus did, or what you did?
See them perform, right? I mean, do you feel that any of these are destined to be errors?
I'm having doubts about Colomwani.
Anybody else?
Not because of.
I mean, Colomwani's had a really tough job coming in and supplying goals at a position that we've been so starved of high level production, and he's coming off a season in which he was quite poor. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on him. I think I take a different tack, though. I think he's an adult. He's been playing this game a long time. My focus is on Ale Begovic, just to make sure we're not putting too much weight on a kid's shoulders too quickly. Allow him to bed in, allow him to understand the league. He might be played slightly out of position in some of these games, and so to answer your question, I think he's somebody who concerns me in the sense that it's going to take him a little bit to grow into the league. I want us to be patient as he continues to grow, since he's just still so young.
Jack, who are you most looking forward to?
Most looking forward to seeing what Alabegovic can do. He was the stretch. He was the surprise, to use Frederick's word, right? That we didn't know was coming in. I think Frederick mentioned having whispers beforehand, but we didn't know what was happening until we kind of got the here we go or scoop there it is, whichever we're going with. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. It seemed in the first 24 hours afterwards that it was an odd choice, right? It's kind of where Yildiz plays, and we had just dropped the 4.8 million or whatever it was on Boga to sign him permanently. So from that perspective, it seemed a bit odd, but seeing him a little bit in preseason, I think he's going to allow Spalletti to move some pieces.
I guess we could have had
Boga
Boga on this list, right? But
Yeah.
we had him from this season already. But
yeah. I'm just excited to see what he can do. It's a calculated risk, right? 30 plus million on an 18-year-old, but I'm really excited to see him play.
Frederic, if the transfer mercato ends with this, what score out of 10 are you giving Carnevale?
A 6.
Okay.
Basically, largely due to the fact that we still have some holes in the squad and we have people that we need to offload. But they work in symbiosis in the sense that if we don't offload people, we can't get new people in. So it's a difficult job, and I can relate to that. But I still feel or think that we could have done better or more, in my honest opinion.
Well, let's look at some of those departures, and this is a very, very underwhelming list, given what essentially is we could probably put a first team squad together of players that we could do with exiting this team. Take us through this if you don't mind.
Well, we start with Vlahovic, even though we had some last-minute thriller surprises where there was talk about him rejoining and whatever, and that didn't happen. But he frees up a lot of space on the balance sheet. Openda, a bit strange because it's a dry loan, and we just deposited his whole transfer fee in order to bring him in. So it's kind of I'm in doubt about that. Adzic, who you already could tell that he wasn't going to get any playing time, is now being sold with a loan with option to buy to Sassuolo, where he also scored, I think, yesterday. And João Mario, who was left also on a loan basis to Fiorentina. So we have literally sold nobody yet in terms of actual selling. So it'll be very surprising and exciting.
Next gen kids.
yeah, talking about pocket change. But yeah, true. But the names you were hoping for to have a brief departure, like Nico Gonzalez, maybe even Koopmeiners or whatever, that didn't happen, and that's blocking our mercato. So I'm very anxious to see what Carnevale and Massara will do in the coming days.
You can't judge Carnevale only on arrivals. You have to do it, as you said, on departures. And the fact is that of the 40 odd million that we've made in sales, 30 odd million of it were clauses that predated Carnevale's arrival and Muharimovic's sell-on and Timothy Weah's buy clause. And that's really concerning, because while we brought in some nice pieces, we have so many players, and we just did the scoop 2 days ago where we have this long list of players on our team that are just should not be in the black and white jersey of Juventus, at least, maybe Udinese, but not Juventus.
Beşiktaş.
So whatever grade we end up giving Carnevale, which we of course have to wait until after the mercato's closed, his real money is going to be in offloading folks, I think, at the end of the day.
Farhad, if we had the ability to, it guaranteed that we could move on from 3 more players, which 3 would you like to see leave?
Man, put me on the spot, why don't you? I mean, there's plenty of deadwood. You guys help me with that, but I mean, does Milik bring anything? Get rid of him. Honestly, sorry, I'm at a loss. You guys
Didn't
wanna
didn't
help
you
me
put
out?
didn't you put Milik as your most improved player of the season, Farhad?
Yeah, but that was we'll get to
Spoilers.
that. Spoiler alert.
But of all
well-
Deadwood to pick, it's your comeback player.
Don't fill in these forms during happy hour, Farhad. We told you a number of times already, but
Milik.
At least you didn't put
Yeah.
at least you didn't put MVP as D Gray again.
That was not not one of my best moments, but yeah, I mean, there's plenty of Deadwood. But let me ask Frederic, in terms of Mercato, 11 days or whatever we have left. That's an eternity as far as in a market sense. So there will be more people leaving.
well, yeah, something's got to give. Something's got to give. But the fact of the matter is, you don't know how much, and the fact that you have to wait for people to leave in order to make your move is making it a lot more difficult. Because now we see that Arthur is, he has a contract resolution, which is nice, but it doesn't help us financially, and we still need to get rid of at least one midfielder before we can even attempt to bring Kessié in. So in terms of time, yeah, it's still loads of time, but in terms of how you can move and the reach that you have and the potential of people that you can get in is growing shorter by the minute. So this is, to me, worrying.
Di Gregorio, probably my
Yeah,
number one. Right?
Ozymendi is here. Coop, Nico, and Digre. If it could only be 3 players, I think that's a solid list of 3. But I mean, we're not even looking at David, Miretti, Gatti.
Cambiaso.
Cambiaso.
That is the last one you should sell for me. All the ones that you should
We know
sell
you-
Gatti
we-
at the moment for me.
We know you love him. We know you love him.
Luigi. We discovered that over the summer. Luigi loves
Yes.
Gatti.
No,
Luigi,
no,
come on. The issue with Gatti is I think we all agree that he can have a role on a team, but when you're spending, for example, would you go spend 75,000 euros on a Fiat Panda? No, he's overpriced for the role that he plays in the team, and that's a problem.
I just got
But for me,
confirmation.
we have much bigger problems before him. That's what I say.
He earns 5.8 million gross. Juventus annually fork out 5.8 million for Federico Gatti.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's good, but for him, but
It's very good for him.
I still believe that we have other players to get rid of before him. And to be
That
honest,
is
since
fair.
Lukubi came, I'm open to Gatti leave, but he's not the first one I would let leave. There's other ones. For example, David. I'm really scared that he will stay. So,
But we're forcing him out, but they just don't want to go. And why would they
I
if they
know,
earn
yeah.
this tremendous amount of money? So
that's the problem, because they earn lots more here at Juve than what they can earn somewhere else. So they stay, of course.
Yeah, but we as a club, we created that by overpaying.
No, it's our fault, of
That's
course.
That's a issue of our own making. I don't want to say, but financially, with the option, you hang on to Rugani and you sell Gatti, right? Just from a financial
Yeah,
perspective.
absolutely.
I don't mind Gatti
Yeah,
either,
yeah.
but to Frederic's point, how much he costs is
It's insane.
a manager.
Jack, I personally like also Rugani. I think he did not so bad when he had to replace Chiellini, when he had like to be like there, and he was like playing every game, and he was very good at that time when he had to be there for us. It was 5 or 6, 7 years ago, and he was very good. And I think Rugani needs more respect than what he had.
I'd agree with that
But of
statement.
course,
too.
on the salary point of view, okay, if we speak about salary, okay, of course, then I keep Rugani and Gatti goes away.
Frederic, to bring this kind of section to a close. So pull out your crystal ball, take a deep look into it. Week and a half or so left to go here. What are you expecting to happen in and out? Realistically, not what you hope, what you expect.
no, I'm expecting a midfielder to besides Archer to depart, and we bring in probably Kessié. Worst case scenario, Fofana, but that type of player. If we can do something on the left back position, I'm very sure that we will, because from what I can tell, Spalletti is done with Cambiaso and hates the fact that he has little to no alternative. And then it all falls down to David. If David can go where we don't have to pay at least half of his wages, then we have a couple of options. But if that doesn't happen, then David is going to be basically Colomwani's substitute. And if we're in that position up front come September 1st, then I don't think we'll make Champions League this season, if that should be the scenario.
You're just a blossom of a ray of good hope here as we
Kevin,
26 minutes into our
Kevin, now you know what I have to deal
I
with.
love you more than
Now
anything.
I know what now you know what I have to
I'm
deal
way
with
more
all the
positive.
time.
I'm way more positive in real life, though. I'm way more, and Zach and Kev, you can testify to that. In real life, I'm a lot more fun. But you know, it's what it is, and we have to be also very realistic about it, because I see a lot of people thinking that we're still that Juventus that purchased Higuain and Tevez, and we're not that same Juventus anymore. And it's gonna take a couple of mercato sessions to build this team up. But what is most important now is the things that we do properly in terms of outgoing and incoming transfers. That for me is the basics. And then we can see and you know, have some backups in January if needed, and be ready for a proper mercato next season should we have the funds. But it's a dire moment at this point.
I just hope the fans and like our community here, if Carnevali is not able to offload some of these players or bring in some of these other reinforcements, truly understand the terrible situation he finds himself in, and trying to move some of these players who are stubborn on the wages they have and have decreased and or they're upside down on their market value. Right. What a mission impossible he finds himself in. I think he's done well, but we'll see what magic he has.
You said mission impossible, so that's absolutely right. I mean, Carnevali just arrived. Give him a chance. I mean, he is coming into a mission impossible. So if he can't sell these players, it's not completely his fault. So I guess he has the time. I give him the time, maybe in the next months to do it. You know, January.
Well, Luigi, let's stick with you. If Frederic is the negative Nancy, you seem to be much more the optimist. So when let's move to some of the preseason, right? So you had the opportunity to go to a couple as they were within driving distance of your home in Luxembourg. What did we learn? What did we learn as fans from any of these matches, if anything?
Who starts?
You.
Okay. No, well, I mean, we the thing is, of course, we there were different games. I saw all of the games. Okay, 2 I saw in the stadium. I saw Basel and Liège in the stadium, and then all the others I saw them on TV. I think there were a lot of testing, a lot of physical work, and it was not as easy. We tried a lot of players, a lot of young players. What came out of it as good things were, of course, Douglas Luiz and Cedric. These are, for me, the very 2 positive things that came out of all these games. These 2 players, because Douglas Luiz was very good, and we saw very good things of him. Cedric, fantastic also on the defensive point of view. So these are, for me, the very 2 main good points that we took out. If we want to have it like brief and take out 2 very good things, it's Cedric and Douglas Luiz for me. Kevin, if you want to, then of course we can go into details on every player, but these are.
Do you feel, especially with as you get towards the end, right? I think we saw more against Chelsea, Inter, and Palermo than we did against some of those first matches. Once we got some of the World Cup players back, did you leave preseason feeling like better coming into this season than how it ended?
Yes, of course. Come on, Kevin. I want to be more than positive. I like the players we bought. We brought in talents. We brought in some very good football. We brought very good feet, people that can do something with the ball. and I'm very happy about what we bought until now. So of course we are not finished yet, so there will be 1 or 2 changes. But right now, I'm very happy about what came in. So I can only go in this season in a very positive mood. I'm so happy. So why not? I'm positive about it. I can't wait. I can't wait to be Sunday. On Sunday, I will go and see some racing cars in Spa-Francorchamps, but I already know I will come home in Luxembourg to be at 6:30 in front of my TV to watch the game. So for sure, I'm very excited about this season, more than anybody can say.
Jack, you caught a number of the preseason games, right?
Yeah, I caught 2 of them. I missed 2. I saw some encouraging things. I don't want to sort of blanket just, I don't know, share out expectations that seem unreasonable or crap on a team for all the mistakes that usually happen during the preseason. I feel preseason is difficult to judge. This isn't specific to football, right? Preseason for any sport is usually difficult to judge. In the United States, we're watching the NFL preseason, difficult to judge what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But I saw some encouraging things, a little bit of tinkering with positions. We got a couple younger kids on the field in those early games. I forget, I can never say his last name, but Justin, right? I think we were all texting about him for a little stretch. I think he was exciting to see. I like that Spalletti's was looking at the youngsters at the beginning. I think that is an effective tactic early on in the preseason to encourage some of your veterans and more established players to kind of step up and work hard, seeing those younger players get minutes. But other than that, I'm really excited to get the season rolling. I don't put too much stock in the preseason. I just kind of hope nobody gets injured. Seeing the family game with the next gen, that slide tackle on Gatti or Zhigrova getting buried by fans, that was a horrible look.
That was horrible. You know what, Jack, there are already a lot of discussions about now that next year this will change. And I hope it will be something a lot more smaller at Continassa. Maybe that's the right solution.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that, what was it, 47th, 48th minute? I'm sure there were, again, some younger players who wanted to get on the field next gen or on our roster who could have seen some minutes, were really excited to play, the Allianz and didn't really get that chance. So that, for me, that was kind of a downer for the preseason to end on that note. But other than that, kind of what I expected from beginning to end.
I mean, I saw almost. I think the only match I really missed was the Chelsea one. Defensive, I think stats at least, and I know we played a little bit of some softer teams in the beginning, but not teams that we were going to beat 12 or 13-0 the way other teams set up their preseason. Like, these are respectable tier 1 teams in their national leagues. Our defensive record was quite good. And maybe some encouraging signs from Douglas Luiz. Does anybody want to talk to either of those 2 points?
Yeah, you only let in a goal. You only conceded a goal in one game. And it's the two Di Gregorio situations against Inter. And I think in preseason, you expect to see the types of mistakes that lead to goals. That's what preseason's for. Mistakes and working things out, people getting back up to fitness. And I'm hesitantly optimistic about our defensive setup because that's even pre-Lukumi. That's with Cambiaso still playing like himself,
headless chicken,
and Kalulu, I would say not necessarily in regular season form, still put together a really structured defense, which was nice to see. And one of the things I was going to say when you asked Luigi about like what positives, I was just going to talk about generally about fitness, and I think the poster child for that's Douglas Luiz. Is he was running, even looking at Villa, he wasn't a workhorse per se, but his movement around the ball was for the entire duration that he was on the pitch. And he played a lot of minutes, maybe more minutes than almost anybody else in the preseason. And he was really active throughout. And then I think the team in general looked really with a good degree of fitness on the team, which was encouraging when last year it was the second game and we looked like we were exhausted at halftime.
Yeah, that's fair. Anybody else have other preseason thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to quickly speak about Douglas Luiz. if I may. I think not just in terms of fitness, but mentality-wise, he's shown, even if the games don't amount to anything, let's be honest, it's preseason and what have you. But I think you could see, and especially from the interviews, and I know Zach disagrees with me because the interviews for him are stage play, but I think if you look at the nonverbal way that he's communicating and the time that he took to sign some jerseys and have some pictures with fans when they got back from the tour and whatever, kind of show that he's focused. And even if um, a football player is hindered by technical ability, tactical ability, physical ability, whatever, if he has that mental plus to him, he'll always be better. And I think that's the biggest turning point for Douglas Luiz, having that, physical m- problem solved, going hand in hand with the mental one as well, and feeling much more confident and much more hungry than last season. And if he can continue the way he does, he'll be of great value, I feel.
All right. Closing the book on preseason, and we will move into this new season. So I think for those of you who have been listening or watching Turin Giants over the last, call it 2 years, we have come to see the rise of Zach as our kind of tactical coach. Zach,
The rise
Coach
of Zach sounds
So-
ominous.
we kind of gave him the task that with the current squad, not anticipating any other signings before the end of the Mercato, to put together a couple lineups based on some of the formations we believe that Spalletti will be using over the course of the season. So we're going to go through those, and Zach will talk through them. But before we pull them up, Zach, just what type of system, what type of approach to playing football, Spalletti's interpretation of the game with these players, what are you expecting this season? And if so, how will it be different from last season?
Unfortunately, I think we're going to see more of the same. Fortunately, I think we have a better team to execute on more of the same. What does more of the same mean? First and foremost, I think you see sort of this midfield trap is how I describe it, where the team sinks a little bit further back into a mid block and then tries to choke the ball out of the midfield to initiate quick counterattacks. This is something, at least the winning ball portion, that we did extremely well last year, oftentimes on the back of guys like McKennie and Locatelli through their work rate and their just defensive prowess. When we would get the ball, we would distribute out to our wings, where we would then see a predictable line of attack. And when you're serving in cross after cross after cross to Jonathan David, Openda when he was in there, and the disinterested corpse of Dusan Vlahovic, then you don't get any results. This year, we have hopefully a much more motivated striker in Colomani, who while I don't think is world-class by any means, I think does do pretty much everything better about his game better than Vlahovic, including his aerial presence. Additionally, as we talk about formations, I think we're going to see guys like McKennie getting further forward to play off of Colomani in the box, which is a much better receiving target for crosses that will come from Chico and Yildiz to hopefully get a lot more play from there. And the one little wrinkle I'll put on all of this is, I think with Douglas Luiz staying for now and Ale Begovic joining, we could see a concerted attempt to try to play through the middle a little bit more than we have in the past. And that's something I would welcome because it'll open up, I think, a way more threatening attack with the kind of players we have.
I was just going to ask you about that because I distinctly remember a number of conversations you and I and just on within the channel have had over the course of the last season that we seem to be most dangerous in creating our best opportunities when we did move up the field with intent through the middle of the field with some crafty interplay between the players, stretching from defense all the way up to the forward line. And do you think someone like Douglas Luiz can help make that perhaps more common rather than just like this rare thing that we get every 5 or 6 games?
Absolutely. As long as Spalletti plays him further forward, I think. Look, you can't take too much away from the game against the next gen. There's a gulf in quality between the teams, as well as no stakes for a game you knew was going to end early. But that Chico goal where Douglas Luiz had that give and go in the middle of the pitch is exactly the prototypical example of the type of presence and influence that Douglas Luiz can have in the center of the pitch when he gets further forward. And if you support him with guys like McKennie and Locatelli, who are going to do the dirty work behind him, that frees him up to have that type of influence. His vision, his close control, and his technical ability make him uniquely suited in this team. I think maybe the best suited to function in that role at the beginning of the season.
All right. Any of you guys think Zach's interpretation or his expectation rather of how we will be playing, do you have a different view of it? Is there something that you think having a whole preseason with the team, a couple of these new players will change how we're playing?
I don't know about that, but Disinterested Corpse is the name of my new band. Great name. Vlahovic is Disinterested Corpse.
I like that
one. It's funny because I think
I saw the beginning of the game of Besiktas before I was, and they were winning very fast. Besiktas 2-0, and Vlahovic was on the bench. So I can't wait to see how we will do there. To be honest.
And I agree with Zach on the tactical part, but I'm going to get into this later on. I think we have more tactical flexibility with the players that we have this year, but that doesn't necessarily mean we'll do better in terms of effort. And I'm going to clarify later on when we talk about specifics or our predictions. But I just hope Zach gets a chance to be a coach at a big team because he deserves it. Like, his knowledge tactically is insane.
Definitely outcoach Tudor. We'll give him that for sure.
Come in Europe, Zach.
Look, right, I was getting my badges before I had my kids. Okay, so we'll see if I can find the time again. But I think to go to, and we're going to talk a little bit about it as Kevin shows you the lineups that I prepared. Frederic says that he doesn't know if we've got improved, even though we have versatility. I kind of disagree on that. I think Celik provides you a support that we didn't have behind Cambiasso Kalulu. Our midfield is the exact same plus Douglas Luiz. That makes us better. Our attack is the exact same plus Ale Begovic. And Colomani, who I said is, my opinion, better at Vlahovic at everything. So I do think there's a notable improvement, despite the fact that we still lack depth, and likely another center midfield addition. Kevin, you could get into it. So I broke it down into 3 different formations, folks. Just as a quick look, y'all will probably be familiar with this because it's different forms of the same type of players that we saw last season. The first being a 4-2-3-1. You can see I put Douglas Luiz in the hole basically because of exactly what I just said. I expect to see Ale Begovic tested there, as we saw in the preseason as well, in addition to functioning as a backup in the wing position. I think the notable tactical thing that I want to mention about the 4-2-3-1 as well as the 4-3-3 is the importance of the fullbacks supporting their wingers up in the channel. Kalulu did that spectacularly last season. Yildiz did not have the same kind of help from Cambiasso. And so I'm hoping that we see some sort of combination of Celik on the left or Kalulu on the left, the other one on the right, to provide that controlled possession support behind their wingers, which ultimately I think will lead to a very balanced attack instead of just relying on Yildiz or just Chico, as we often saw in various games last season.
Celik on the left, do you really think I know you and some of us would like to see that and Cambiasso be on the bench if he's not sold. Do you really think Spalletti will do it?
I think he absolutely will do it, and I think it's going to come real. My prediction is that he plays either Kalulu or Celik there, the other one in the right back position, both being right backs by trade, and he's going to see immediately that whomever he puts there is a much better player there than Cambiasso has been for him, especially in light of what Frederic said earlier. And so I think it's going to be a situation of one of those guys playing themselves into the starting role at a position that they're not used to, simply because we do not have a starting left back on this roster. I do not consider Cambiasso, at least in how he's contributed over the last year and a half, to be that player. Cabal certainly is not that player. And we'll see it in different formations here in just a second. Maybe some tinkerings to in effect have like a 3-man back line, maybe having a Kelly in that left center back position in order to function like a pseudo left back himself, though I do not expect to see Kelly in a 4-man back as the left fullback.
I still have the sneaking suspicion that, at least to get started, I do think Alibegovic is going to be protected, at least in the beginning. And I hope fans can understand that, even though that there was a lot of money invested into him, expecting him to come into a new league, a team with a heavy kit, to be starting from minute 1 on the first game. If he does, more power to him, and I hope he can perform. But waiting to introduce him until later, I think, would be reasonable from Spalletti. I still think we're going to see McKennie in that 10 spot to start the season.
So that's a really good point. And we've seen McKennie at that 10 spot a lot last year when we had, say, Thuram with Locatelli. I think when you look at their skill sets, though, McKennie is not nearly as well suited to that position than Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz does not do the defensive work that McKennie does. Douglas Luiz does not have the physicality that McKennie does. McKennie can still make those late runs into the box from a deeper position. And Douglas Luiz does have the technical ability that McKennie doesn't, does have the passing and vision that McKennie doesn't. And so I think when you look purely at their attributes, Douglas Luiz makes way more sense in that advanced position. So I'm hoping Spalletti sees that as well and moves McKennie back into what essentially functions as a slightly off-centered 4-3-3 if you want to switch to the next slide. So we basically see the same lineup here. You will see it more balanced in a sense of how Spalletti wants the team to play. Same players, different formation, different way of executing a strategy by having the midfielders play more together, supporting an attack, and essentially what's going to be an attacking pentagon with Douglas Luiz and McKennie supporting the attackers, with, again, those fullbacks coming up.
Are you coining that term, the attacking pentagon?
another great band name.
Sure. You guys can coin whatever you want, but that's what it does. You'll see it on the pitch. You will see it on the pitch where you'll have oftentimes the pentagon up front. You'll have Locatelli behind. You'll have one of the fullbacks kind of shift into that midfield supporting space on either side of Locatelli, or maybe only one will. So it'll be in effect a 3-2-5 or a 2-3-5 when we're in possession, especially when we're able to pin guys back.
Personally, this is what I want to see to start the season. I'm starting with the position that Alibegovic is not going to start from the beginning, and he's going to be slowly introduced, getting sub minutes, and we'll see him starting maybe a couple months from now if he's performing. I think the 4-3-3 works so much better for us than a 4-2-3-1. What do you guys think? They're similar, but I like this so much better.
It kind of depends also on how you intend to play Kolo Muani, because what we saw in preseason still is the fact that, Yildiz and Cambiaso don't get along on that left side. And I'm going to die on that hill. And it also kind of forced Kolo Muani to drop back a bit more further into that area between midfield and the opponent's box, which makes it then difficult because he's your endpoint in terms of that, and we have trouble of getting people from our midfield to play an attacking role. You don't see Locatelli come up a lot. McKennie does that at times, and that's why Locatelli chooses to remain on the defensive side. So I'm curious to see what that 4-3-3, what that does for Douglas Luiz in terms of liberty. If Locatelli keeps his defensive tactics and provides McKennie and Douglas Luiz with some space. You have Kolo Muani falling a bit back, Yildiz, Chico, or even Alibegovic for that matter, doing something unpredictable, then you could have, something potentially very nice happening up front. But that needs to be very well balanced and needs to be trained on a lot. The automatization between midfielders and forwards, the running lines, the passing lines. You can't depend on sheer luck or fortune when you play that kind of 4-3-3 with the players that we have and their characteristics. So I'm very curious to see what Spalletti will pull out of his rabbit hat.
You know, that left side of the field, let me pause. This right side, I feel so much more confident in what we are able to do. And I think Chico, McKennie, and Kalulu had like their passing, some of their runs and interplay figured out a bit better throughout much of last season. Not all of it, much of it. The left side, to your point, Cambiaso, Yildiz, I think they trip over each other. They're not making the right runs. But this left side has been plagued for a while. Like I was saying the same thing about Chiesa and Kostic could not play together. And now like Yildiz, obviously like our talisman, our future capitano, the guy that we gave all the money to, but the flank that he's operating on does not get the same support.
Have you ever been like sitting at home, you know, I don't know if you work from home or something, and then you see sort of a fly out of the corner of your eye, and then you're like, where is it? And then you lose it, and then you're kind of paranoid of what's going on until you can find the fly again so you can try to swat it. Well, that's Yildiz trying to find Cambiaso. And when you need somebody to play off of, you gotta have a deep understanding of the movement of the players around you. And he just was the fly that you couldn't find in your room. So you start turning off lights and looking at things different way. And it just isolated him. It isolated him a lot. We also saw in the preseason in the one game Cabal started how a fullback who is not prepared to support him in any meaningful way also isolates him. They need to be able to move up into the channel, as I said, to take the midfield defender who's going to otherwise play underneath Yildiz to prevent the direct long ball. You have to have somebody who understands the movement in order to help create that space. And then you need to know how to take advantage of your movement to allow Yildiz to do what he does best. And with if you have a situation, and this is why I don't really want to see Kelly there, and that's not offense to the player, it's just maybe more so to his movement, and why someone like Kalulu or Celik I think is better suited to it. When you play with maybe a Kelly, certainly a Cabal in back, and Cambiaso with his sporadic, erratic movements, as Yildiz, you don't have anybody who you can really sync up with. It's been a year and a half since we saw like prime Cambiaso, if we can call it that, you know, the good version of Thuram and Yildiz syncing up for these awesome interchanges.
Yep.
But it's been a year and a half we've been seeing that because both of those guys who've been playing in those positions have really struggled.
But I think, especially with the way that we play, where your forward needs to be partially a winger and your back as well, you need footballing IQ in those positions. Not just somebody with a good set of lungs who can run all game. You need somebody with some proper football intelligence and vision. Cambiaso is not that guy. And we could try for 10 years.
Him having a role here in the 3-4-2-1.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, because it's more balanced.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that he and Yildiz probably won't gel, but Cambiaso will be more lucid in a sense that he won't have to go back and forth and have Kelly in his back so he can follow up on any counterattacks. So that should, in theory, make him more lucid and make him more physically prepared. But if your football IQ is below 0, there's only so much that even Zach can do tactically.
There are, 3 certainties in life, right? Death, taxes, and Juve playing with a 3-man back, whether you like it or not. I think Pinu said in the chat, I don't want any of this tinkering hybrid stuff. Juve since 94 says, don't start with that 3-4-2-1. Well, folks, it's coming. It's coming. It's not a question of if, it's simply a question of when. And I think what it's going to be is as you play over the course of a season, if a guy like Cambiaso stays, if a guy like Thuram stays or gets some semblance of form back, hopefully, and you need to rotate players in and out, the 3-man back gives Spalletti, and he showed this in how he's executed at times, gives him, I think, a sense of security. And so a 3-man back covers Cambiaso more. You could see I put McKennie here on the right back position. I think that really functions well in stepping underneath or in working off of the other 10 that's on that side of the field.
Kalulu there. We
But
know
you're gonna see Kalulu there as well. But we know that at the beginning of last season under Tudor that did not go that well. We really don't have, with João Mario leaving, any true right wing back anymore on this team, which is maybe a good thing for the folks who hate the 3-man back. But we will be seeing this at some point. I think as you rotate it in different competitions, as Spalletti tries to find playing time for the different center backs and otherwise cover the rotations that are inevitably going to come in over the course of a long season. So we all know how this works. I think you're going to see in a formation like this an attempt of getting the tens of the future, Alabegovic and Yildiz, to play off each other and to create havoc for defenders off of Kolomwani's movement, and then allow guys like Cambiaso or McKennie or Celik to find space along the wings to create overlaps and likely pump the ball into the box.
We need some players that are good at football. I might be a bit old school here, but I like to see players that have good feet. Good feet. We have Yildiz, Alabegovic, Kolomani has good feet, Douglas Luiz has good feet. This is the talent, speaking. And then, of course, from behind, we need players. And even if you know that I'm not really a fan of Locatelli, but Locatelli is good when he has to get the balls, when he goes to the players, when the others are attacking, he can bring back the ball to Juventus, but then he has to stop, he has to give it to somebody who has good feet, because he doesn't have good feet. This is what we need, most of all. You speak a lot about Cambiaso, but now there's Celik. Why wouldn't Celik be taking Cambiaso's place on the team?
That's a really good question, Luigi. And people in chat are kind of wondering the same thing as they sort of chew on the inevitability that is a 3-man backline for Juve. So Celik and Kalulu will play in wing back over the course of this season. The problem is that Celik and Kalulu are not dynamic offensive wing back profiles. They're both what I would describe as control fullbacks. They're very good defensively. They're very good on the ball, and they're very good passing, and their movement's really intelligent. But we saw it a lot. While Kalulu had very good crosses and some key assists in games, for the most part, especially this preseason, his crossing left a lot to be desired. I mean, it just gave nobody a chance. And in those first few games of last season, he was horrible in that right wing back position. And it's because his skill set, and that's not a dig at the player, Kalulu had an amazing season last year. But his skill set is not in that sort of dynamic wing back, run down the right, cross in style. He is more of a pass control, move into the right space, a give and go type person, and that's going to be way more valuable. Celik the same way, Luigi, in a 4-man backline where he can park himself behind a winger with the midfielder on one side, and they can play neat little triangles and move off each other.
Zach, awesome stuff. Thank you for taking us through this. So before we move on, I just want to get a quick poll, both from folks in chat, but also from our crew here.
You want me to make one? Want me to make one in YouTube? I can make one in YouTube.
Yeah. If you set up a poll, I'm curious. Between the 4-2-3-1, the 4-3-3, the 3-4-2-1. Love to know what everybody's thinking, but. Luigi, if you have to pick between the three, what are you using?
The first one. What was the first one?
4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, 3-4-2-1. This one.
Yeah.
All right. Farhad, what about you?
Changing some players, but might be. But yeah, this one. I might. Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, you gave your answer, Farhad.
Yeah, it's okay. I stick.
Poll is live. Poll should be live.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Farhad.
Give me a good 4-3-3.
My man, Jack.
There you go. Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a fan of 4-2-3. Yeah.
Juve since '94 has a good point, Luigi. Gatti's not on any of these. How could you pick any of these formations?
Oh, I like Gatti because he's a mean defender. I'm an old Italian, so I like it.
Jack.
Yeah, I'm leaning 4-3-3. I like the width we get up front, interchangeability, and I like the starting lineup that Zach established there because I don't think we saw enough of McKinney running in the channels last year, and this setup definitely allows him the space to do that without sacrificing time on defensive responsibility.
Like a real 8, absolutely.
Yep.
Frederic, I know you like a good 5-3-2, but
Yeah,
these options, what do you want?
it's a shame I can't pick the 5-3-2, so I'll have to go with the 4-3-3. I think this is the one that benefits our players a lot and makes us the most stable, but also the most versatile. I think a lot of players are interchangeable. If you look at the slide, you can pick and choose. You seem to have much more depth with this formation, but like I said, with a 4-3-3. It's not easy, and a lot of things will be considered how you employ that 4-3-3 because a 4-3-3 always sounds a bit offensive in that sense. But you could play a defensive 4-3-3 where you prohibit midfielders from even going across the other half of the pitch, which will leave Kolomwani isolated and Yildiz taking on 3 men at a time and trying too much. So it all depends how the 4-3-3 is implemented, but just going from the slides, I go 4-3-3.
And Zach, how about you?
Well, before I give my answer, there's only been 30 votes on the poll for the roughly 100 of folks watching. Please fill it out. We want to know which formation you prefer. And I'm going to go with the 4-2-3-1. I think what Frederic said was absolutely true is how you deploy these teams because the players in the 4-2-3-1 are the exact same players in a 4-3-3. But what I really think this team needs is some sort of deployment through the middle of the pitch. And the only player from game one who is ready to occupy that space is Douglas Luiz. And I would really love to see a 4-2-3-1 with him in that advanced position supported by the work rate of McKennie and Locatelli. See what damage he can do. And I think that's going to be even more important against a team that's going to sit deep like Frosinone. Find a little bit of space in the middle, can create some havoc for a defense that really just wants to sit there all game and win headers in the box.
You convinced me. You convinced me. No, I mean, you make sense. The only verticalization play and speed up play that we saw was thanks to Douglas Luiz. If you look at the highlights from our friendlies, and that makes a lot of sense. The only thing that I'm fearing is that you'll take away from Alay Begovic, getting to develop him in sense of minutes, and I just don't feel comfortable with a McKennie Locatelli 2-man midfield in that sense. But like I said, Mercato's not done yet, but your option makes a lot more sense. So you have color me converted.
No, so there was an individual who had said in the chat, I'm trying to find it real quick because I want to shout you out, but said that he wants the 4-2-3-1 simply to see Alay Begovic get an opportunity more. And I think I think that's actually a good point because in a 4-2-3-1, if we set it more like that, you have more opportunities for not only for Alay Begovic to get playing time, but to also see how that role can function and to see a veteran player like Douglas Luiz, who's played at the highest level with his national team and stuff, to show what kind of movement, what kind of vision, what kind of technical ability, what kind of pace of play requires to fill that position. If you play a 4-3-3, throw Alay Begovic in the 10, that you're asking a lot of a young kid. If you have a mentor, someone who you can simply just watch, at minimum, if not someone who can genuinely mentor you, that makes a world of a difference for a player who's just 18. So I think if you do deploy in this situation, it's better for Alay Begovic all around. If you play 4-3-3, he has to compete with Boga as well, who is well established, not only in Serie A, but at this team. And I think that buries him a bit on the depth chart.
Zach, I saw him playing his first minutes with Juve, and I saw him very stressed because he's 18. But after a while, after even just a few minutes, 10, 20 minutes, I saw him taking risks, trying to make some very incredible passes. So this is already a sign that this guy, give him just a few minutes, and maybe
he's
he
gonna
will
get
do
his
well.
time.
And if he does
yeah.
well, he will play. And I have the feeling that this young kid is he's ready.
No
My
one
opinion.
is writing him off. I think Luigi, though, we have to be realistic that, like Kevin said, it's likely that Spalletti's going to take him along slowly.
Next time.
And getting confidence in preseason is different than when it's real. And when the games count, it's different. And we have yet to see how he's going to respond. I just hope if it isn't all beautiful and perfect, that nobody gets down on him. He's a young kid. We have to give him patience. He's going to make mistakes.
Yeah, and
I still believe that we have given, to be honest, to Yildiz too much pressure, and I hope we won't do the same with him. And I'm really.
We haven't. I'm
But-
sorry.
Go ahead, Frederic, and then I'd like to add something real quick.
If you make 7 million a year, there is no pressure.
I don't know that's the problem.
No. Because he couldn't. He could have said. No, but he could have said, I don't want 7 million. He asked for 7 million. We didn't offer him, hey, here you go, 7 million.
You're right.
He asked for it. So if you ask for that, if you ask the number 10, if you accept the number 10, you accept the 7 million a year, then you need to perform. And if you're not performing, and I'll even go as far as saying, for me, this is make or break season for Kenan Yildiz, because we can all be, admiring the star boy, but it's year 3 now. You make 7 million net, which is almost 13 gross. You have the number 10. We try to cater to your every whim. We do what we can in order to make it as comfortable as possible for Kenan, because we really appreciate him. But there has to be some output there as well. Yeah. And I'm not being negative, but I feel like pressure is. I'm sorry. What does a guy like Mbappé, Doué, what do they have to say? They deal with the same pressure, maybe even more.
Way more.
And they perform. So it's not about, but he's 21, or Dybala was a year older when he came from Palermo, and his first season was absolutely nuts at Juventus. And for me, Dybala has lesser qualities than Kenan on paper. So I don't want to pick and choose my battles and say, but Dybala was this and Del Piero was that, because it's difficult to make that distinction between players. But pressure to me is relative. If you make 7 million net, and pressure to me is when you can't afford to pay the bills and you need to have 2 jobs and you work in a factory and you have a wife and family to support. For me, that's pressure. This is something they need to close their eyes. They need to thank their stars, how lucky they are, and they just need to get to work. And he needs to become the leader.
There's a completely different angle I have on it, because the way you describe it, Frederic, is you're putting that weight on his shoulders. And when you don the 10 at Juventus, you deserve to have eyes on you. But it's an 11-man game, and I think too often last year we had nobody doing anything. We had we were playing most games 9v11, sometimes 10v11, by the contributions we were getting. That one, we already talked about it, so I'm not going to go into it. You need to have the support from the fullback and the midfielder that he frankly did not have, Yildiz. And 2, you need to have balanced threat. Chico last year, and I love the effort and how he puts it on. I love how he's approached this offseason. Grossly underperformed output last season. And when you don't have any threat coming from the middle, because it was just this black hole of nothingness on the pitch. When you had Chico, who, much the same as Jagrova, was just a one-trick pony that often didn't work, then it's easy to put all the eyes on Yildiz. And Yildiz says, give me some help, guys. I've got Jonathan David, who fails at striker. You have Cambiasso, who's the gnat buzzing around somewhere by the ceiling fan. What do? You have to, for Yildiz, yes, there's pressure. Yes, there's eyes on him. Rightfully so. But the team needs to be able to do it. And the team last year, especially down the stretch, was horrible. And yeah, he's going to bear the brunt of it, because we expect him as fans unreasonably oftentimes to just pull something out of nothing. Well, guess what? That's exactly what we saw on the pitch, is him forcing things because the people around him weren't carrying their weight.
Awful.
So for my response to you is about this whole matter about Yildiz is Spalletti's got to work with these players to get the best out of them so that he has support from behind and coupled threat on the other side of the pitch. Or if you take my 4-2-3-1 idea, you have someone in the middle, Douglas Luiz, who has everybody guessing. And that creates space and threat all by itself.
What
And you have-
do
And you have talent.
folks in
now.
the chat think? What's the answer here to the poll?
Okay, almost 50 votes. I totally forgot about the poll. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
51. Oh, here we go. 6% said 3-4-2-1. Nobody wants the 3-man back. And then it came down to 51-43. Very close, all things considered, with 4-3-3 winning at 51%. So that's what folks want to see.
Luigi's there shaking his head. He just wants Gatti in a 3-4-2-1
Gatti in a
and
three-man
just be the happiest guy.
Got you a 6-man
Happiest
back.
Juventino
All
in the world.
butchers.
Speaking of the happiest Juventino,
I'm the
Farhad
only
is
Italian
about-
here. I love the catenaccio and the strong defender. You know.
He doesn't want to see goals when he watches Juventus. He just wants
No,
blood
I
from
don't
the
wanna see
opponents
against goals.
smeared all
I-
across the pitch.
yeah,
That's enough for
I
him.
was at the stadium, Frederick, when I think in Serie A we made 29 or 28 games without getting a Serie A goal against when there was Allegri, something like that. I remember when I saw the away team fans screaming, I was like, "Whoa, this was long. It was nearly 2 years." I like that. I like a strong defense.
Me too, but for me, strong defense and Gatti is not a synonym. But
Of course, you. would
I
have
know
said
where
that,
you're
yeah.
coming from. I know where you're coming from,
Yeah,
and I
no,
respect that.
Yeah.
Well, as
He's
as
nasty.
as
He's
happy
nasty.
as
He's strong.
Gatti makes Luigi, we're gonna make a fan here in the chat happy as well with our first giveaway. So we're gonna take a brief intermission from our content and give away the beautiful hoodie that Farhad was showing earlier, and then we're gonna get into our season predictions.
Yes, beautiful
So
hoodie
Farhad,
here.
how does one win that beautiful hoodie?
Well, since we are celebrating, technically, we didn't have time last year, but we are celebrating a huge milestone, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 14th season of this podcast, and continuing the tradition of bringing you Juventus content. We wanna see who remembers a little bit of Turin Giants lore, Turin Giants history, and I have a bonus audio here with you for you guys. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you guys in the comments 1 minute to give me the number of the episode of the Turin Giants podcast back then, where
Hold on,
Zach made
Farhad.
his
This is
first
just for
appearance. Yes.
America's folks, right?
Yes, this is. I apologize, guys. We've dealt with shipping issues outside of Europe, outside of Canada, US. I just don't want to send something and you will not get it, and you'd be excited about it. So we're going to limit it to Canadian and American folks here. So 1 minute in the comments. Give me the number of the podcast where Zach made his first appearance. It's blah, blah, blah. I'm going to start a timer now. 1 minute. Let's go, guys. Why don't we, while we're waiting, why don't we play the audio? The audio
I'm
clip.
sure
Here
our
we
other
go.
guys here have other thoughts to offer as well.
Zach, you were nodding in agreement. What do you think?
I agree 100%. And I think when it comes down to an identity, certainly the players and leadership within the team takes some responsibility, but it starts and ends with the coach, in my opinion. And the point of saying we saw anything but an identity on the pitch cannot be said enough. Because I don't think Spalletti had a game plan, really. I don't think if he did, it didn't get through to the players, which is ultimately on him. And I'm was looking forward to see some growth, to looking forward to the next World Cup.
How young we all
So
were.
serious.
Zach, what do you remember of that? Zach without the microphone and, giving us straight facts, man. I love that.
I'm serious.
And,
I'm serious. What can I say?
Yeah, if somebody doesn't come up with the correct answer, we'll just take the closest one. But yeah, I remember reaching out to Zach and Frederick later, asking them to join the podcast. And, Zach's been here ever since, kicking ass. Purchased a nice microphone right away, right after we agreed that he will be part of the podcast. So it's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah. Well, what's the timer at? I was gonna give people a hint.
You can go ahead and give them the hint, but there's one very close.
Oh, there is? Okay, maybe I don't give a hint.
Yeah. Go ahead. That's okay. Let's make it fun.
All right. So the last numbered episode we have was 364. So it cannot be higher than 364. And the podcast has been going on for 13, 14 years? And I've been a part of it
14 years, yes, sir.
For 2. So maybe that helps.
Mind you, he's done scoops. He's done a whole season of Bepe's appearances, and
but those aren't numbered.
Part of it.
Farhad, we got to give a winner because the show must go on.
All right. If you're located in the United States or Canada, Anthony, reach out to us. He said episode number 212. The episode was number 250. First appearance of Zach. Fantastic. All right. Well,
congratulations.
Congrats.
DM us
Congrats.
on Instagram. The easiest way is to DM me on Instagram at Turian Giants. Let me know that you were the winner of the giveaway. So Anthony, here we go. I know there were answers afterwards, but he came in right on time. So congratulations.
Amazing. Congratulations, Farhad. That was awesome. And as a reminder, we will have another one for our European friends post predictions, which we will now get into. Very excited for this. It is the prediction time. So I think we have, if memory serves me, 6 different questions where we have all provided our take. We put such deep analysis and thought and heart into these selections. And we'd also love to hear from you in the chat as well, your answers to these. So the very first one here is the best signing. We've spent a lot of time talking about the Mercato and how that can shape the team that enters the pitch this season. So for those listening in audio format, we have Jack and Luigi both saying Alabegovic. We have Farhad and Zach saying Celik. We have Frederic with Lukumi and myself with Kolo Muani. The Alabegovic crew, Jack, I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak on behalf of Alabegovic. Why is he our best signing?
Like I had said a little bit earlier, I think he has the most upside over the long term. I don't know this will bear fruit or all the fruit we want to see this year, but I think he was a risk worth taking. In all of the lineups that Zach took the time to put together and present, thanks, Zach. Those were wonderfully presented. I think some offer him more time on the pitch, but they do offer him opportunities to excel in roles where he's been, seen to do well. Even though I voted 4-3-3, I did like him and Douglas Luiz swapping in that 10 spot. I think that'll afford him some time on the pitch and allow him to be creative. And I'm looking forward to him having, an impact where he could sort of be that mysterious man in the middle. We saw Yildiz try to occupy that space a number of times last season, shifting into the middle. But now I think he'll be able to stay more on his preferred left side, and we have some options in that middle that provide us a bit more creativity than McKinney dropping into that 10 spot. So I think over the course of the season, I think he will prove to be a great signing, even if we might not see it in the first half.
Now, well said. Zach, represent the Celik crew.
I think I don't want to belabor the point I said in my tactical bit, how I think he can provide so much balance as this control fullback opposite Kalulu, whether it be on the right or on the left. And that's something we've desperately lacked with Cambiaso's poor form over the last season and a half.
Frederic Lukumi, who mind you, seems to be supported within the chat. So just kind of eyeballing what a lot of people are saying. Lukumi definitely seems to be favored by our folks here. So why do you answer Lukumi?
Because I saw him play a lot of times at Genk, and he really struck me as a very good defender. And at that time, he was a bit, rough around the edges in terms of build-up play. He's improved massively, especially during his stint at Bologna. And so he's a double-edged sword at that sense. He's very good at defensive, proactive defense, I feel, but also with build-up play, he has a very good pass. He has some vision, which is something that we've been lacking terribly because the last couple of seasons we always tried to just shoot the ball forward and see what happens from a defensive back line. And Lukumi for me is somebody who could, speed up that build-up play with fine passing, and is also, in my opinion, on dead ball situations, very, very, very dangerous. So for me, he's a quality signing for the price that we paid. I just wish we picked him up earlier. And that's a point I want to address. If you see Suzuki played in Belgium for a couple of years, Lukumi the same. I hope we can get to an era where we can scoop up those people straight out of Belgium instead of paying more out of pocket just to have him mature at Bologna, Parma, or whatever. So, but that's another thing. So I'm all Lukumi.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I think my head would say Lukumi, but my heart said Kolo Muani, simply for the fact that we haven't had a dependable goal-scoring threat through the middle since Ronaldo and Higuain. And this saga that we've had for Kolo Muani and the fans having fallen in love with him during his 6-month stint a season ago, I want it to pay dividends. So this is purely my answer through my heart that I want it. I want it to work. But I otherwise I would have said Lukumi myself. Moving on. For most,
well, I'm going to interrupt you and say that
Schmosby
Schmosby very much agrees with Lukumi. Schmosby, by the way, has been our GoFundMe starter for several new signings this offseason. So thank you for your contribution and love for Lukumi. I know Frederic is 1000% on board with you.
Yeah, thank you, Schmosby, and thank you, Zach. Moving on to the player who we think will improve the most season over season. We have 4 of us giving the same answer in Douglas Luiz, if indeed he can stay fit and healthy. Myself, Zach, Luigi, and Jack. We have Frederic with the oddball answer of Zagrova, only to be topped by Farhad coming in with Milik. Luigi, speak on behalf of Douglas Luiz.
I saw him. I said it several times. The first time he came in Turin, he said some strange things in interviews, like he preferred Birmingham to Turin, which is something very strange. But now his mentality, the way he speaks in the interviews, the way he plays, everything changed. For me, I don't even have the feeling it's the same player. And he has, of course, talent. He's very good. And he's very dangerous anytime he has a ball on his feet. And he showed it. I could see him play in the stadiums now during the friendly games. I'm very confident. I'm amazed about how a player could change from 2 years ago and now. And good, fantastically. And he, for me, will be a key point in our middle field for this season, by far. He has the feats that Locatelli has not. Let's say like that. So.
That is true. Frederic, why Zagrova?
I feel that potential is there. You could see, and he is underperformed massively last season. A number of issues personally with him, but also within the team. And I think a lot of those issues have been remedied. So I think he's going to improve. I think he's going to be important to us. Maybe not in the sense that we all see, that we think that, he's going to decide every game and pull out bangers. But I think he'll have I hope he'll have a consistent season where he regains confidence, because I think what he can do from a technical standpoint is amazing. And if he can somehow keep injury free and work hard, which is what Spalletti demands, I think we'll see a vast improvement of Zegrova, and maybe an improvement in the team that we need in terms of unpredictability and technical awareness. So it's kind of a long shot for me, but I could see it happening.
You know, I want to pause for just 30 seconds on what Il Capitano 010
I love
said
that
here.
so much.
And for those of you who cannot see this comment, he kindly writes, if Zegrova wore 3 sizes smaller shorts, he might be able to play football. This drives me insane, how he comes onto the pitch with the long sleeve shirt with his hands tucked into his sleeves, with the shorts that can barely stay above his butt cheeks. It's just like there's a level of presentation that just comes across as like sloppy or like nonchalant, of him just coming out like kind of chill, like he's going to go kick the ball around with his friends or his kids in the backyard, instead of like suiting up to go play football for Juventus. And I don't know if it irritates you guys as much as it does me, but Il Capitano, thank you.
He looks like
saying what I'm thinking.
He looks like he looks like Eminem of 2001. Looks like he's about to bust a freestyle.
Maybe that's why I like it.
We all went
I
to high
kinda like
school
it.
with a guy that's dressed like Zegrova.
I like it. The only problem is like, if you're gonna look like that, you need to be better than your opponent, because it's such a departure from how everyone else looks. If you're gonna look like my Michigan brethren, Eminem there, then you need to be better than everyone else. And he hasn't been. If Frederic is right, maybe we're in for a bit of a show where he can style on some fools this year. What you're going to see on the next slide, I firmly disagree.
He's like all those people in summer with no physique, but just wearing tank tops for shit of it, for the kicks of it, like beer belly hanging out, no muscle tone, no definition. But
Hey, dude,
we're
don't talk
rocking
about me that way,
wide
Frederic.
beaters.
Don't
sorry,
talk about
man.
me that way. That's rude, dude.
Bruce-
Bruce
left me
gonna move
impressed,
on here
man. Bruce
to-
left me impressed.
We're going to move on here to Farhad's suggestion, which is a curious one. Because Farhad, I think I put you on the spot earlier
Happy hour.
for who
What's the
you
problem?
wanted to
What is the
leave
problem
the
here?
club.
Tell me.
No, just like an hour ago, I asked you who you wanted to leave the club, and you said Milik, but you think he might be
Okay.
our most improved player.
we're-
So
but we
help me
were-
rationalize
If he leaves,
That's the improvement. That's the improvement.
Tell me out of all players, what's the least impactful? If I were a betting man, who's the most likely to improve? I mean, he literally just has to start a game, and that's already an improvement, right? If he doesn't get injured and he doesn't hop on crutches, that's already an
Di
improvement.
Gregorio
If
entered
he
the
stays,
chat.
we- to-
Di Gregorio entered the chat.
Artur.
Yeah, absolutely. To be fair, we were doing these judging players if they were to stay. Of course, Milik needs
Yes.
to go, Di Gregorio, blah, blah, blah. But if Milik even kicks a ball and doesn't get injured, it's already an improvement.
So
I
the
stand by
bar
my
is so
choice.
low, he can just he's
Exactly.
destined to improve. All right. I appreciate the
Exactly.
line of thought. Moving on, flop of the season. So the alternative to most improved. So we have 2 votes for Colomuani, Frederic, and Farhad. We have 2 for Cambiaso from myself and Luigi. Zach opposes Frederic's thought on Zegrova improving to be the flop. And we have Jack with our new goalkeeper, Vicario. Jack, why don't we stay with you? Give us a few words on Vicario. How is he going to be worse than the water heater that we've been using in goal for the last 2 years?
No, we can send il
I believe the
termosifone.
name was refrigerator.
Yeah, to the sideline. It's less the flop of the season to me is less about the change from last season to this season in a position, and more that the signing of Vicario, while financially was a good decision, it bothers me a bit on the field. And I say that because we've spent a better part of the last 2 seasons watching a goalkeeper who doesn't command his penalty area, a goalkeeper who's uncertain coming out for crosses, a goalkeeper who makes mistakes, punching clearances off of corners, a goalkeeper who's supposed to be good with his feet, but often makes mistakes. Those are, I feel like, more mental than physical. It's not that he doesn't have the ability, but I always feel like Digne was a man caught between 2 ideas when he had the ball at his feet. So I feel like we signed more of the same. Yes, I think Vicario is an upgrade to Di Gregorio. And I think, Federico, I'll toss to you, right? You've often made the comment that Di Gregorio lost us about 12 points or so over the course of last season. I expect maybe not the same, but I could see a few Vicario mistakes costing us some points or costing us some games, and us having that conversation during the therapy sessions.
Might I intervene for a sec? Just
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
something that haphazardly came into my so somebody I know, my source actually, saw 2 training sessions of Vicario because he was a bit worried in the sense that his medical took a bit long. So they were thinking maybe there's something wrong because he had a hernia and a surgery and this and that last season. And he was astounded by the training session of Vicario in a positive way. Very much so. So I hope you're right. I'll give you. You deserve your time in the spotlight and the limelight and what have you. But I just wanted to point out what he felt about Vicario, because he was also very disappointed that we chose, or we didn't choose. We had no other option but to go
And I'm
with
sure Jack
Vicario.
is
Yeah.
happy to be wrong if it doesn't.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So I just want to, get that, said, because I think it's important, because the way you present yourself in a new club is often very much a determining factor of how you will perform or how you will feel. And so far, so good.
Yeah, I think he has the ability, right? He is better than Di Gregorio. Again, we take someone will at me. We take a keeper who's had good seasons at small clubs, right? I don't consider Tottenham a big club, and he came from Empoli and played in some smaller clubs. So I want to see if he can make the step up. The skill set is there, but again, I know we talk about the weight of the shirt, and I don't. And he's had some, he's had some confidence issues, right? So this could be a difficult transition for him. But Frederic, I'm happy to hear that his training sessions are going well. I never wish ill or want to see anybody do poorly. This category is always a tough one to come up with, but I'd like to see everyone overperform. But he would be my pick if I had to pick someone.
Well, Frederic, let's stay with you. Kolo Muani, give us your thoughts.
I don't know if it's overhyping or we're expecting too much of him, but for me, Kolo Muani has always been a good forward, but not a goal poacher. And the records confirm that his best season was at Frankfurt. I think it was, I'm not sure, was it 22-23 or 23-24 where he scored, I think, 15 goals, which is nice, but that was his most impressive season in terms of output. And he'll do better than Vlahovic because he gels more with the team and he has other capabilities. But if we just look at it from a scoring perspective, I think a lot of people are expecting Kolo Muani to score a hat-trick every game because he comes from PSG, because we've been wanting him for so long, because he played some decent games with us. I just don't think that's realistic. And I'd be happy if he can confirm himself and score another 15. But he's not the poacher that a lot of people think he is. And I'm just worried that when there comes a time that we don't have Kolo Muani in the best of shape and producing, who's going to produce? I really miss that, that goal getter, that poacher, that Icardi, Trezeguet type of player who could just score out of nothing. And not to, because it's a difficult choice, but I just feel that the expectancy level for Muani is very high because of his purchasing price, his history, and whatever. And it's going to be difficult for him to hold that bar so high. So that's why I think flop, which is a big word, but I think I hope not, but I think he'll be one of the people that will say next summer, maybe this wasn't the best choice.
Yeah, I hope he's not up for the running for the
Well-
Bidone d'Oro.
Well, can I interject for just a second to be clear? Well, one, it was 22-23, which is a long time ago where he had that season. But across all competitions, he had like 22 goals and like 16 assists. Like, that is an incredible season. Incredible season. And as Il Capitano says in the chat, in the league alone, 15 goals, 11 assists. That's also stellar.
I'd be thrilled if that was his output this season. That would be incredible. Zach, let's stick with you with our oversized shorts, hands in sleeves, Mr. Jagrova.
Well, I think flop is always relative to expectations. I think Colomwani is a fair shout because the expectations are pretty high. Cambiaso, I wouldn't have ever put because expectations are frankly so low. Jagrova, I only put because Frederick's expectations are so high, and I need to kind of go against my buddy a little bit. So
Great reason.
And so I said, with Frederick increasing the expectations on the previous slide, I'm going to try to shoot them down. I haven't seen any difference in how he's played or approached this preseason in mixing things up or having any different level of impact. Even if he can stay fit, which we'll have to determine, we have to see if he can expand on his game at all. If the answer is no, which frankly is what preseason told me, I think it's just another year of nothing from Edin Jagrova.
Luigi, represent you and myself on why we think Cambiaso will have yet another awful season, only to be countered by our dear friend here in chat, Amazon Queen 03. I think Cambiaso will have a great season.
Oh, come on, that Cambiaso. I think now we have seen so many seasons, and for me, it's going every season worse and worse. So I can't believe that he will do a good season, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, I like the kid, I like him, yeah, but we should have sold him 65 million 2 years ago. So and now we have Selic. It will be a very difficult season for Cambiaso. And as always, I say, I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see.
I hope we're wrong too, but I can't imagine we will be. All right.
No.
Can I intervene with a message, or is this not the time?
No, it's always welcome.
Arthur has been sold?
No, it's not sold. We'll get rid of him tomorrow officially. When the resolution of his contract will be officially signed, probably tomorrow. But no, we have just rejected an Arsenal bid. 82 million plus 17.
That's low.
That is low.
Too low.
Yeah, 82 plus 17 has been not only rejected by Juventus, but also by Kenan Yildiz himself. So I think we can put Arsenal transfer rumors to bed. I don't think that Kenan.
That's insulting, though. With the prices, I mean, I know Yildiz is not the finished product, but you look at some of the money going around for other players in the Premier League.
It's 89 or 99 million still. So
when you have Morgan Rogers going for what, 130, 140, Elliot Anderson for around the same, like it's monopoly money anyway.
Yeah. But just wanted to.
No, thanks for sharing.
Fred,
You're welcome.
For me, as a Juventus point of view, I'm looking at Juventus historically. If you want to keep a player, you keep him. Point. Whatever comes, you are Juventus. We have to be, strong like that. If Juventus wants to keep Yildiz for the next 10 years, so whenever somebody comes with this kind of money, you say no.
We sold Zidane. We sold a lot of people. And if
it's different. When the player wants to leave, it's a different point of view. Zidane wanted to leave because of his wife, but these are old stories. But still,
this is my personal opinion. If Arsenal shed out 130 plus million, Kenan will be on the plane tomorrow. That's my take on it, and I don't think I can disagree personally. But these are the facts, or at least what they told me. So we'll take on from there. So
well, Farhad, Jack, and myself are looking forward to Yildiz being MVP of the season as we move into this next section. Then that is rounded out by Luigi. Think not only our best signing, but the MVP of the season in Alibegovic. We have Frederic doing the same thing, holding consistent with Lukumi across both of those questions, and then Zach rounding it out with McKenny. So Zach, why don't we stay there? I almost gave McKenny a shout as well. I think for me last season he merited that, although just given how the season ended, nobody was an MVP. But for the flexibility, for the work rate, what he offered that other players didn't, I think overperforming maybe the expectation. His renewal, I thought, was very merited. I'm concerned just about him maybe not having as much space in this team if players stay healthy. But fight me on that. Why do you think he'll be MVP?
I think there's two main reasons. I think one is a reason because of him, and I think another reason is because of what's happening around him. So I'll start with the latter bit. Yildiz is maybe the obvious choice, or at least my mind was the obvious choice to start with because he was my MVP of last year. He led us in goals, he led us in assists. But as I stressed earlier, and as we talked about it down the stretch, his level of isolation due to the players and the tactics around him rendered it useless no matter how hard he tried. If we're going to be successful this season, we need Chico, who is definitely an honorable mention in my book as a comeback player of the season, to step up. We need Kolomani to be more of a threat. And that's going to spread the love across the front three, meaning that Yildiz, if we're successful, should hopefully have less of a goal and assist burden because it's being distributed across the front. And that brings us to why Weston McKennie. Weston McKennie in a horrible, horrible season last year as a team, finishing 6th, was second in goal contributions after sitting on the bench for the first 2 to 3 months because Tudor didn't like him. He came on once Spalletti joined. Obviously, we all know the quotes of he's been the best coach I've ever had and so on and so forth. And he demonstrated with his play on the pitch for the majority of that Spalletti tenure. Obviously, him and everybody else playing poorly to finish up the season. But I think we're going to need him to continue to have that level of influence. And frankly, I think I disagree with you, Kevin, in that, say, a healthy Douglas Luiz actually makes his job, McKennie's job, easier because it allows some of that creative force and presence to be done by somebody else. When, rewind to last year, you had Thuram, who largely was a warm body, unfortunately, on the pitch, meaning guys like Locatelli and McKennie had to do way more heavy lifting. Putting Douglas Luiz on there actually frees McKennie up to have a more straightforward role as a box-to-box, make those late runs in, win the head ball, score the goal, support the team on both faces of the game without having to do literally everything and play 47 positions on top of it. And I think with a simplified role, with a more balanced attack, that's going to unlock McKennie to have even more influence coming out of the midfield than he did last season.
Yeah, I follow that, and I think that could very well play out. But just the alternative is if Alibegovic plays in the 10 spot in a 4-2-3-1, does McKennie take a spot next to Locatelli, or is it Douglas Luiz or somebody else? And if a Kessié does come in, does that limit his minutes? Just speculation, obviously.
The Kessié signing would potentially limit his minutes depending on how Spalletti deploys his midfield. So I don't want to necessarily go down that rabbit hole. But if we play with the 4-2-3-1, I don't think it limits McKennie at all. In possession, we're gonna see more of those fullback midfield support, meaning that Alibegovic or Douglas Luiz will occupy a space on the side of the ball, and who's going to be making a run behind him? McKennie. So if we're going to be serving a lot of crosses, which I know Spalletti doesn't necessarily want to do, but that's just what this team does. You need McKennie in the middle of the pitch, and he's going to have more presence, I feel, when you have a guy like Kolomwani who actually makes better runs off the ball than Vlahovic to create space and get those goals and create that chaos to support the team in a meaningful way.
Another thing I wanted to add is we're talking a lot about, Koopmeiners, Miretti, Arthur leaving in order to bring Kessié in. But, who says that it's not going to be Thuram who's going to leave and will be replaced by Kessié? Because he still has market value. And if there ever was a time to get a bit of money in for Thuram, I don't think Juventus management would be hesitant to that. So
Anyone interested? No?
I'm there's a lot of interest, but nothing concrete yet. But
Especially since he's been hurt too, right? It's
yeah, but it's been reassured that it's getting better. But I feel that such a player is valuable, especially in a Premier League situation. I feel, and in that context. So, given that we're going in the last week, and you still have a lot of Premier League squads that are a bit not full in terms of midfielders, we could see something happening there. I'm not saying this is like something this is just a hunch.
It's logical. It's logical.
And I wouldn't rule out that it could happen, or at least an offer would come in.
Well, moving on. So we did speak at length about Lukumi already. The same for Ali Begovic. So we'll round it out with Yildiz. Farhad, why don't you represent the Yildiz crew here? Why do you think he'll be our MVP?
Best player on the team. He should be the MVP. Like Zach said, maybe with a little reinforcement. Maybe not yet, but in the future, he'll get the chance to shine. It's his. Frederick said, "Make it or break it" season. Hopefully, he's as strong mentally as we think he is, and wishful thinking, but I do want him to have a great season.
It just rises to the occasion. That was a lot of the driver for me too, is just like wanting this to be the case. He is the most skilled. He is the player we are building a lot of the club's identity around. I'd like to believe that he can step up to this, but I think we all have our questions. We do. The second part of especially those last few games of last season, where everybody struggled, but that's when your best players can overcome that adversity, and he failed to do so.
A fairly early exit from the World Cup. Maybe he's got a little clarity, got a little fitness into him. So really, really hoping for a good season for him.
And let's see where that takes us. So the last two questions. Oh no, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we get into where we think Juve will finish in the Europa League and Serie A, we were curious to see what we thought of Spalletti's ability to survive the season. So the question here is, will Spalletti make it through this season? Everyone here said yes, except for Mr. Frederic.
And I'll prove myself right once again. Yeah.
When do you think it'll before or after Christmas?
It's hard to say, but I know for a fact that management is shopping. I know for a fact. So
that could mean to give the guy a year and some continuity with the squad and bring somebody in at the end of the season.
Yeah, but I feel that in every Spalletti season, you have this month and a half, 2 months where he completely loses his shit. And where he does strange things and addresses the media wrong, and everything goes haywire. And I think this will be the year that he'll have that episode again. And I don't think management will stand for that, especially given the fact that they're trying to please him in every way they can regarding Mercato. Lukumi was a Spalletti name. He got him. Colomani was one of those as well. We paid a hefty sum to get him in. If then the results don't come,
the Italy job and is watching TV from his couch right now.
I don't think Conte's gonna be back at Juventus.
I hope not. But when he's available, and if you're making a change,
I told Zach who will be though, so I'm pretty surprised that Zach said yes. But Zach knows more. I'm putting it on the spot here. No, but I think realistically, given the effort that we put in, you'll need output, and if the output doesn't arrive, I think this management, Carnevali first, will not hesitate to get it over and done with. So it for me doesn't bode well in a sense that Spalletti's not the most flexible guy. He's a bit older as well, and I don't know. And to answer JJ Kreppy's question, why get players Spalletti wants if you think that they will sack him? I'm not thinking that they'll sack him. It's just my feeling, in the sense that I don't think he'll be able to get out of this team what we expect. And I think that'll prove to be something that will hinder his future at Juventus. So this is just a hunch, a feeling. But what are you gonna do? Not buy players your coach wants?
Yeah.
That's
The thing
kind of
is, exactly what I feel is, of course, if Spalletti won't get the results they want, he will leave. I mean, Juventus is quite, and Elkan is very strong on that. I mean, if you promise something and you don't get it, Elkan is very tough on that. So you leave. It's very. He's not somebody who will keep someone who will. So it's very easy. So if Spalletti will do well, he will stay. If not, he will leave. And that's a bit. Then of course there can be discussions about how he will react with on the newspapers or anything, if he will speak badly in one point or another. But for me, it's all linked on results. No, what do you think? No.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. I think if you're gonna flip the slide, I don't know if the next one's where we finish in the Europa League or where we finish in the thing, but does Spalletti survive? I think is a 1-to-1 ratio with whether we think the team finishes top 4 or not. So spoilers, right? I think Frederic. If you want to just go to it, Kevin, because we can knock it out real quick. If you look, only one person picked Juventus to miss out on top 4, and I wholly believe that if we're not in a position to get top 4,
Spalletti will be out,
especially if we're really doing poorly. He'll be out before the winter market. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that other than Roma, who I anticipate is going to have a good season, and Inter, who's probably the leading horse going into this season, everyone else is horrible, us included. So I don't see why we can't. No, Como competing across multiple competitions is not going to be top 4. There's no way. Plus Fabregas is a little bit nutty himself. So I think there's a 1-to-1 ratio on whether he stays and our picks and whether we think we're going to get top 4. And so I think that to go. Luigi said to shut up for a second. It's results-based business. If he's top 4, he stays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, we filled this in a couple of days ago, and it's with that sentiment we had a couple of days ago. Now tomorrow, Alcon might go mad and buy Haaland, Mbappe, and whoever. Then everything changes, of course, and a lot can change. But these are our feelings based on, what we saw, what we knew a couple of days prior to the show. So, a lot of things can change, and like I said, I predicted the 5th place with 2 good quality injections that could easily become a 3rd place, which will also make Spalletti's life more easier. So a lot of things can still happen, can still fluctuate, but.
So when we look at where we think we're going to end the season, starting with the Europa League, myself, Zach, Frederic, all estimating the quarterfinal, Farhad taking that a step forward with the semifinal. Luigi and Jack are projecting Juve champions of the Europa League. Let's see.
I'm very honest. I'm looking for hotels to book in Frankfurt for that night.
Will Gotti start? Luigi, will Gotti start the finals?
So Luigi, I have one booked already.
I know already where I found one.
It was very hard to find one that was reimbursable. It was very because they jacked the prices and they're all non-refundable. I found one in Frankfurt that's 100% refundable.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't. Not in Frankfurt. I know a bit the area because of my old US company I worked for 15 years, and they have offices there, so I know where I have to book. It's so far from the stadium.
There are a few out there. If any of you in Europe that want to be there, and if you want to get ahead of it before it becomes absolutely impossible, there are still a few hotels that have reimbursable rates in Frankfurt. Then for final Serie A position. None of us are expecting this team to be lifting the Scudetto this season. We have a trio of us expecting third: Kevin, myself, Zach, and Farhad. We already mentioned Frederic thought fifth, and then Luigi and Jack, who the two of you have been thinking very similarly across a number of different questions, both predicting second. I'm curious in the chat here, just throw out the number where you think we will be. I think, look, I started this episode saying that like we have the right to start every season with a level of optimism that we are Juve, and we have the right and obligation to enter every tournament thinking we can win it. But given what we've seen over these last couple of years, it's like we don't deserve nice things right now, and that's kind of how it feels. And I do think Frederic is right that another couple quality players could make all the difference. But we'll see how this comes together. As Zach said, it's not the most rich Serie A. Some teams have made some interesting moves, but
yeah,
Ryan,
I mean,
main objective tripletta. We will see.
I mean, there's a complete difference. I mean, there's not a contradiction in saying you go for the Scudetto and then you end up failing to get it. And I think from my perspective on this team is when you look at the most recent body of work, and it hasn't materially changed, in my opinion, like materially changed. I think that Colomani's an improvement. I like Lukumi joining. I like Ale Begovic as a young player, but we still have no depth other than a couple players. This team needs to prove itself to me, at least, not to speak to other folks. They need to prove themselves before I'm going to say that I trust them to get the goal that we should all assign, which is first place. They need to prove it because the way they ended the last season was horrendous. The way they ended up, Max Allegri's last season, horrendous.
Yep.
This team has been finishing really poorly. Even when we started well, quote unquote well, if you can even count that for Motta, we not losing until December or January, but on the slew of 47 draws, this team needs to prove itself to itself and to us before I think it's fair to say that we should be honestly and realistically saying this team is a Scudetto, favorite, if not contender. And that's kind of the approach I'm taking. I'm an optimistic guy about this team, but they have been for too long sort of this elevated mediocrity. We need them to prove it that they can be a team that genuinely can compete over the course of a season.
And I don't think anybody is going to say it better than that. So that will conclude the predictions segment. It was a lot of fun talking across those different questions. And hopefully we are all wrong on the Serie A final position, and we can be higher than what we put forth, at least battling all the way till the end. Like, it would be good to see the team be in it all the way until the end, because we haven't seen that in many years. We promised earlier that we would have another giveaway, so the time has come. Frederic, can you please do your best modeling effort to show a training shirt that was worn by none other than Il Principino himself, Claudio Marchisio? This question coming from Farhad is for our fans in Europe. So Farhad, why don't you?
So this is the one for really, really old school listeners. Let's see how far back you guys go. On one of the episodes a really long time ago, before anyone out of the current crew is here, I shot my shot with a famous commentator. First person to give me the name of that famous commentator that actually came on the Juventus podcast back then and gave us an awesome 1-hour interview.
Which season was this?
And what does shoot my shot mean? Were you trying to marry them? Like what does shoot my shot mean?
He's one of my favorites. I would marry him if I could. But
last time I shot my shoot, I got in trouble, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I,
We had to get Turin Giants legal on Frederic on that one.
and a little penicillin. But I texted, I messaged him on Twitter back then. A hint that was like maybe 7-8 years ago, and he turned out to be one of the most nicest people in the world. So if you guys remember, famous commentator that graced us with his presence on the old Juventus podcast. All right, we'll give it a couple minutes. Meanwhile, really quick, I know we're running late on time. We played Zach's first appearance. Can I play Frederic's first appearance?
Please, while we're waiting
Last
here.
but not least, we have Frederic. He's a new guest. We found him from Reddit. He was really excited to join us. We're trying to listen. A little behind the scenes here. We're all over 30. We're busy, like Rob mentioned. Real life gets in the way. So sometimes you just need an extra body here. So I'm really excited to welcome Frederic. He is currently in Belgium. Welcome. Say hello.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much for having me. It is a complete honor and a beautiful way to escape real life if you're over 30. So thanks for having me.
You're too kind. We're so happy you reached out. Frederic is not. There it is. You sound beautiful. Look at him.
Way.
I've never seen him turn so red. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
A beautiful way. There's been nothing but anger and chain smoking ever since then.
I also like the phrase like found him on Reddit, as if I'm like in a thrift shop or wherever. I found him like along the side of the road.
He found you
and
shooting a shot, Frederic. That's
He was scouring the depths of the internet.
I didn't see him. I didn't. The dark web.
Farhad, has anybody given the correct answer yet?
No one's given the correct answer. So I'm just going to do this here. First of all, the answer is Derek Ray joined us on the podcast. It was just me. No one else joined. He was most gracious, very nice guy. It was a fantastic interview. It was such a long time ago. I don't even have audio of that. I wish I did, but I didn't. Man, I want to suggest something. I just don't want people to... nobody gave the answer. You guys, tell me, what can we do here? Let's... crap.
Another question.
Backup question.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Can somebody guess the first opponent I saw playing Juventus? My first. No. Just that I can remember. Like my first Juventus game that I can remember. Who against who was it?
All right, Frederic. We're the first person to put it in, right? So
Yep.
what year would have this been? Let's give people some. Let's ring fence for some folks here.
Should have been like around.
We're aging
88, 89.
88-9 season. It was a Serie A game, or was it like another competition?
We have a winner already. I don't know if you
who
want.
won?
Yeah. Cagliari. It was Cagliari and Schmoes. I think it was Schmosby. Did anyone else say
Let's get it
Cagliari?
right.
No. Who said
It's
it?
Cagliari.
Mosby, yes.
Yeah.
It was indeed Cagliari in well, it was an away game. It was Cagliari Juventus, to be more
Fantastic.
specific, and that's the first match I remember watching
Incredible.
alongside with my dad. And yeah,
A matter of
Can I-
seconds ahead of Salman, by the way. So neck and neck, gentlemen. But congratulations, Schmosby. You message. Why did just message you directly, Frederic? On Instagram?
yeah.
At the Scoop Juve.
Yeah.
I'm curious, just because we haven't all been on together. What was everyone's first Juventus game, and what year was it? Because I think I'm the oldest one on here.
I'm not sure, Jack. I don't know, Jack.
First one I
You start,
went
Jack.
to, I think, was when they were in Serie B, when I was studying abroad in Torino. I think it was Juve Bari, I think, at the Stadio Olimpico in Torino. For me.
Luigi?
I 1985 Jeunesse Esch Juventus in the National Stadium of Luxembourg in the Champions League, Coppa dei Campioni at that time. It was actually the first game after the Hazel game.
Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah. It was in the Hazel game was like the final 85, and this was like the first round of the Champions League 85-86 in Luxembourg. And then they played also in Juventus won 5-0. I was a kid, I was like 8. And Juventus played also in Torino, but in Torino they had to play 2 games without spectators because of Hazel. Don't know why, but probably Juventus got also suspended fans because of that game. But anyhow, so that was my first game, 1985. Yes, September.
Oh my goodness.
Was a kid.
Real Madrid Juventus 2015 opening
What
first
I
leg,
got-
where the famous headband, the
Yeah.
psycho picture of Chiellini in Turin, my first game with Maurizio and Said, one of the first co-hosts of the podcast. It was a
Amazing.
beautiful game.
Oh, God.
Whereas we came in right on time. We were a little late, and that's when Morata right under us, just with a little
Amazing.
tap in, and then the famous sliding tackle against Ronaldo, Chiellini, where the place erupted, where Chiellini goes
Yeah.
blah 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 to Ronaldo. Beautiful game.
mine was
Incredible game, Farad. I'm very jealous, Farad.
that's a good
I
one.
get goosebumps every time I think about it. Yeah.
I was lucky to see some big names score goals. My first game was 93, Juve Sampdoria at the old Delle Alpi. I got to see Gullit score for Samp before he went off to Milan, and Conte scored that day. It was a fantastic game to see.
Oh, very cool.
I got
Conte.
tickets from my cousin got tickets from a friend, and it was a last minute drive up to Torino at the end of our summer, beginning of this, before the school year. I think the school year had started. I think I came home late from Italy, but what a way to just like last minute make a trip up there
Beautiful.
and have that be the first game. Not knowing much what I was getting into. I had been a fan,
Great.
but never been to a live match.
So nice.
Good.
And it's
You-
we're really freaking old, man.
And then Zach, to round it out.
Sorry, so somebody's honking their horn just endlessly on my street, and I've been like trying to look at what's going on up there. My first and only live game was this past season with Kevin, Frederic, Luigi, and a lot of other friends that we saw there. It was an absolute blast. Hey, there it is. That's us back in January. That was my birthday weekend, and what a birthday it was! 3-0
I even
victory
remember
at
the
home.
score.
Over Napoli.
Napoli,
And
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yes,
was
that one.
it was
Nice,
a
nice.
blast. We
Ooh,
had
love
a lovely get together with Luigi and a bunch of other folks like Maurizio from around Turin. The day
Oh,
before, a wonderful time at the stadium,
Luca.
the tour. Yeah, wonderful time. So can't wait to go back. But that is my first and only time seeing Juventus live.
Beautiful.
And
You'll
we
come
hope,
back, Zach, soon.
we hope,
Time to go
yeah,
back already.
we have to find a way to for at least most of us to get together for one
It's
match
happening.
this upcoming season, which kicks off Sunday against Frosinone, 6:30 p.m. Italian time on Sunday, August 23rd. Jack is going to bring us home for this season preview with just a few words about the match against Frosinone. Jack, what awaits us?
Well, I'll try not to be too long-winded here. I mean, this is the one opportunity that we get to look forward without reflecting too much on therapy sessions that we've had in the past. So I want to try to stay optimistic. I'll give you a little bit about Frosinone, what I think about the lineup, and then some expectations that I'm going to sort of couch with while looking at sort of the entire season. But listen, the wait is over. The new season's here, and the first stop is about 100 kilometers north of Rome in Frosinone. Opening day always feels a bit different. We get to start with a little bit of hope. We get to start with some questions. We want to know what the team's going to look like, what our identity is going to be. and whether like finally can Juventus start moving in the right direction. It's been anno zero, so many years now. It just feels like it's time. This is the game we should win. We have to say that honestly. But it's not a game where it can stroll into Frosinone, a newly promoted side that's playing at home in a stadium that's definitely going to be a buzz. And those are the dangerous games, right? Frosinone is going to come in with a ton of belief. Look at what Como did to us last year. Look at what Monza did to us a few years ago, right? So coming up from Serie B means absolutely nothing. Frosinone is going to run. They're going to press high. They're going to try to make us uncomfortable. And they're just going to want to hang around, right? The longer they can keep 0-0, the more the crowd gets into it, and suddenly it becomes a game that we can lose control of. So for me, the task is simple. Take control of the game early, move the ball, win second balls, don't be sloppy, don't give Frosinone any easy counterattacks, go in there, settle the game down, and remind everybody watching at home, watching in the stadium, which team has the quality to perform and to win the game. I kind of just gloss over the starting lineup. I know we talked a bit about it already. I think we're going to start with 4 in the back. Bremer, Lukumi in the middle with Celik and Kalulu at the back positions. Gives us, a pretty strong athletic back line. I do want to see Bremer returning to the Bremer of old before the injury. Those ACL injuries usually take a season or so to fully recover from. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more from him this season than we saw in the second half of last season. And Frederick's talked a lot about Lukumi, right? He gives us some composure, athleticism, a little bit more grinta inside, and I think that's going to bode well for us. I know I prefer the fourth. Sorry,
do you have a prediction
for the game?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0.
Okay.
Or 0-2.
Yeah.
I think that we should be able to put some goals in the back of the net. I think we're going to cause them some trouble. I think they're going to have to come out. Particularly if we score first, and that's going to give us the opportunity to score the second. That's the only way, we get out of there is scoring early. 0-0 at halftime, doesn't make us look good. The one thing I do want to add though, before we move on, do we want a perfect performance? No, it's opening day. There's going to be some rust that they have to get over. There are going to be some timing issues. I think we're still going to be figuring out a formation. We're still debating that, about what formation is best, but 3 points is essential. We need to respect the team, but here we go. New season, new energy, new opportunity. What do we get to do? We can walk into Frosinone and do one job. That one job is start strong, set the tone for the season, and walk out of there with 3 points, because we do have, after the Parma game, a pretty challenging month.
Well said.
Jack said one shot, one opportunity to get everything you ever wanted.
I hope they don't lose themselves in the moment.
We don't want to get copyright
They
flagged.
better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance, because opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
The Eminem cycle.
The references. That's the third reference to him in this show.
There you go. Visit Detroit, folks.
Yes.
Visit Detroit.
Visit if you've learned anything, let's visit Detroit. Yes. Gentlemen, this was an absolute pleasure. And for those of you who have been with us for the last 2+ hours, whether in YouTube or listening or watching this on your own time, thank you for spending this time with us. We are aware that there are so many different options out there for Juve content, and for you to spend that time with us, we're eternally grateful. Again, subscription to the YouTube channel would be amazing. Like to the video goes a long way for us. We look forward to spending this season with you through the highs and probably the inevitable lows. But we will be with you next with a live post-game, post-Frosinone on Sunday. And with that, Farhad, I would love for you to take us home.
Boys and girls, as always, check on your friends, stay hydrated, and Forza Juve.
Conclusione in rete, Andrea Va a faz gol de la Juventus.